SEO is AEO. Welcome to the show, Greg Gifford.
I'm happy to be back.
Brilliant stuff. Last time we met was SMS Australia in Sydney.
Yep.
That was really cool. We talked about local search.
We did.
It
was a fun chat, yeah, off to the side in the corner, yeah.
That was a really nice chat, yeah. And that was a really great event as well.
It was.
And I got a great article out of it.
Did you?
Yeah, the Gary Lewis, how does the ranking algorithm work? Darwinism in search. That was cool.
The bad thing about that trip, and this may be a little TMI for the live stream, I actually got skin mites.
Really?
Yeah, like I had this thing burrow through my hand. It was nuts. I got home, there was a line like this big where this thing was like burrowing through my hand. I had to go to the doctor and get this cream. It was nuts.
I'm suddenly looking
You know
very
why?
worried.
Because everything in Australia is trying to kill you.
Oh, right. Even the Australians?
Yeah, pretty much.
Brilliant stuff. Lovely to have you here. We're at Brighton SEO, as the live stream people know, and I wanted to talk. I wanted to talk to you about Google Maps as a functioning knowledge graph, because you were talking about entities in the knowledge graph this morning.
Yep.
And making a link to local search, which I think is incredibly interesting. So you're coming from exactly the right place.
Well, yeah. The knowledge graph, everybody thinks of the knowledge graph like it's an encyclopedia. It's just Google storing all of this information. And really what the knowledge graph is, it's Google's database of entity information and connections between entities, and then machine learning added to that to continually revise what's there and how things are connected and what it knows about the various entities. So that plays right into Google Maps, because everything with since day one, local SEO has always been about entities, because you can rank in local SEO without a website.
Yep.
So it's all about real world connections, and that's what Google Maps is as well. And so that algorithm has always been entity based, and now the organic algorithm is starting to catch up. So one of the things I just talked about was everybody should be paying a lot more attention to local SEO, A, because with mobile search exploding, a lot of searches are becoming localized searches, and so you need to be doing it anyway. But B, a lot of the things that we've been doing in local SEO for years are building entity strength to rank better, and that's the sort of stuff that everyone else needs to kind of catch up and start doing, instead of worrying about, I need to tweak this little keyword here in this spot on the page because that's going to get me to rank better.
And that's a really difficult message to get across to your clients. I mean, from my point of view, they're all obsessed by that, and you're saying that isn't necessarily what we need to worry about right now.
Well, and it's kind of our fault, because as marketers for years we've taught. Well, nothing's my fault. But yeah, marketers for years and SEOs for years have been telling people, hey, SEO, it's all about, you've got to match the keyword. You got to match keyword to keyword. We've got to go create a page. I can't tell you how many times we talk to potential clients that say, okay, how many city landing pages am I going to get this month? Because I got to target all these cities. I need these landing pages, or I need these keyword landing pages. And it's like, dude, it's not about making pages. It's about answering questions. So,
bringing solutions.
Yeah.
Maybe even. I mean, yeah, I love that that way of looking at it. And this guy, Ivan Berkovich from Graphic, now at AXA, said, Google Maps is a great example of what the future of search should look like, augmented public data powered by a knowledge graph.
Yep.
And so kind of, I'm starting to tell people, when you don't really understand what the knowledge graph is and what entity-based search is, look at Google Maps, look at how you use it, and it gives you a really clear idea. Would you agree?
I would completely agree. And Google just got a patent in the US, I want to say 4 or 5 weeks ago, and this patent is for ranking businesses based on a quality visit metric.
Ooh, I read Bill Slawski's article about that rather than the patent. Did you actually read the patent?
I did both.
Respect.
It put me to sleep. It's rough. Not his article, but the actual.
No, exactly.
But yeah, it's really interesting that you can see that they're now trying to very specifically say, hey, this is a real world visit from this person, and this is now going to count as a ranking signal. And they're very actively at this point able to say, let's figure out how we can use these real world signals as ranking signals. And I think links will always be important, but I think they're going to be much less weighted as we move forward, because these real world signals are a much better clue that, hey, this is a legitimate business.
Yeah. I mean, links are not going away, but
they won't go away, but they will definitely be nowhere near as powerful as they are.
Yeah, and also the idea, I was talking to Dixon Jones about it yesterday, pages are entities with links between them, are relationships.
I
between
said that
them.
in my presentation
Did
just a
you?
few minutes ago, yeah.
I've just shamefully admitted I didn't see your presentation.
That's all right, you were up here working.
Well, looking like I was working, pretending it, setting this up. Yeah, brilliant. And so that whole kind of entity idea, I mean, everything suddenly becomes entities and relationships. And the other thing I try and tell people is that's how we think.
Yeah.
That's how our brains function.
Yep.
So all you need to do to understand how Google's trying to function is look at how we function, look at Google Maps, and you're away.
Well, and then, one of the things I talked about in my presentation was telling people, as SEOs, you should really be paying attention to the patents that Google is filing.
Yeah.
Because it lets you know not what's going now, but what's coming in the future.
Yeah.
And if you look back, they released the Knowledge Graph in 2012, and at the time they said, this is us trying to understand entities and their relationships, and then almost every year thereafter, they're filing really big idea patents about entities and entities as a ranking factor and entities and relationships and software to understand entity relationships. And now this new one about quality visit metrics being a ranking signal. Mm. It's really the best way to clue in on, hey, this is, not necessarily exactly what's going to happen, but you can tell their thought process and what they're looking at. And they've been trying to do entity search for a very long time, but they haven't been able to have the technology to back it up. And now that we've got machine learning and AI, finally they've got something that says, okay, cool, now all this stuff we've been planning for 7 or 8 years, we can finally do.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I mean, beyond the idea of entities as well, this new patent also means you have to serve your client, and you have to serve them above what they would expect, but also, I can't remember who said it to me, but you have to serve them or go beyond their expectations on what they expect.
Yep.
And so you have to have this empathy for your client and end up serving them. I mean, the client becomes absolute king, queen, god, whatever you might call it. And the idea of keeping your clients coming back suddenly becomes a strong ranking signal you have to satisfy.
Well, exactly. And we know already that for sure on Android devices, Google is tracking where you're going, and that's how it's populating in the knowledge graph. Yeah. Hey, this is the most popular time to visit this business, because they're tracking real world signals of people going in. And potentially with this quality visit metric, let's say you're a restaurant and someone goes in and they leave 10 minutes later, that's probably not a good signal, because you're not going to be able to eat in 10 minutes and something made you leave.
Yeah.
And that's taking a little bit of a leap, but it's going to be different for every type of vertical. But they're actively looking at what happens in the real world is now going to affect how you show up in search, which is great because it's a lot harder to manipulate.
Yep.
But at the same time, that's where now a lot of people are suggesting, loyalty events. Let's have a barbecue out front and, a bounce house for the kids and get everybody to come in on a Saturday and just hang out. And that's old school marketing. I did the local SEO training here yesterday, and I said, everything has kind of come full circle. You had the old school marketing stuff that people did for years and years and years. And then the internet came out, and everybody said, oh, let's just go all digital. Let's forget all the old school stuff. And everybody kind of became more shuttered, and they were worried about their website only. And then now they're starting to get back out and become active in the community again, because that's old school marketing. It's good. You get exposed in the real world, but also those are the kind of things that are going to start matter as a ranking signal.
Yeah.
So
I mean that's something that comes up time and time again on the SEO is AO podcast is back to the 90s, back to traditional marketing.
Yeah.
And the idea, I mean, what I'm seeing more and more, and I'm getting really keen about, is the offline and the online are becoming indistinguishable or definitely linking up. And we had 20 years of kind of counting keywords, counting links, trying to cheat, obsessing about our technical stuff, and suddenly we're going back to being marketers.
Yeah, which is good. It's a good thing. I mean, maybe in the past I've done some things. I wouldn't say black hat, but there were some vulnerabilities, let's say, in the local algorithm where, years ago I could have somebody 45 minutes outside of a metro area ranking #1 in that metro area because I knew the signals that mattered. And I wasn't cheating per se. I was doing legitimate SEO, and I was legitimately out optimizing everyone in the metro area. But if you really think about it, it was great for that guy's business, but for the users in that metro area, is it really that great that you're doing a search of that business and something 45 minutes away is showing up when you have 3 or 4 options that are down the street from you? Probably not the best user experience. So while it sucks that you can't do stuff like that anymore, for the general public, it's probably much better search results.
Yeah, I mean,
it's much more realistic for what you should be getting in the real world.
Yeah, I mean, bringing a relevant, intelligent solution to a specific problem at a specific time.
Yeah.
I mean, when we were in Australia, I didn't have internet, so I couldn't well, I didn't have very much internet. I had problems with my internet. I couldn't find coffee shops.
Oh yeah.
No. I was going, how do I do it? I think I said this to you in the last podcast. You're going, I don't know how to find a coffee shop anymore because I rely on Google Maps.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm somewhere and I wouldn't even know how to go. Like last night for dinner, I knew generally where the restaurant was. I never would have found this restaurant if I couldn't have pulled out my phone and looked it up on the map.
Yeah, no, and we're becoming
Like
incredibly dependent
we're
on it.
so reliant on it.
But that begs the question. We've become so reliant on Google Maps. Can we say that with the knowledge graph entity-based search, we're going to become more and more reliant on Google?
Oh, I think so.
I trust it.
And that's, I can't remember, we were having a conversation yesterday, and I can't remember who I was talking to, but somebody was like, yeah, we're really moving in a direction where it's not a monopoly situation, it's just the general public, the way that you think about looking for something, we're really moving in a direction where everybody's just going to be Google, and it's ubiquitous. And I said, moving in that direction, we've been there for years. Like, we're completely reliant on it. And then we had a talk, somebody was talking about voice search last night. We're kind of laughing about it and how it's always this big buzzy thing at conferences. And it's like, it's just regular stinking SEO. You have to worry more about the intent of the query, but it's not like you optimize differently for voice search than you do for regular SEO. You're still doing the same basic SEO stuff. But then someone said, but what's really interesting is now they've got the new, I forget what it's called, but it's the Google Home that has a screen.
Yeah.
And they're like, and that's changing how people search with voice. And I said, oh yeah, 100%, because I've got one in my kitchen.
All right.
And I would never ask just a regular Google Home, hey, give me a recipe for chocolate chip cookies or chili or whatever. I would just never ask that because I don't want to have it sit there and read it to me. But you ask that now, and you can get a video served up, and the video will walk you through it. Or you get step-by-step instructions with photos of what to do.
Yeah.
We've been doing a lot more voice search stuff related to recipes and cooking just because you have that screen right there that shows you. It's brilliant.
Well, and the videos are coming up in the SERPs with a bookmark to go exactly to the place it needs.
Yep.
And you end up with this idea, and I'm pushing this on my clients. We need a multimedia content strategy. Everyone's saying, oh, just
100%.
write a blog.
Nope.
And you go, and you're aiming at 10 links. You're not going to get them because these rich elements are pushing up in there and taking the place. That's what Google's trying to do. That's where they're going.
Well, and the reason they're doing it is because what would you rather do? Read a blog post about something or watch a quick video about it? Everybody wants to watch a video. Why would you? I mean, everybody wants to watch video. It's just the way it goes. And a lot of people are still resistant to it because they're still stuck in that traditional media mindset that they've had for years, or they're stuck in the, now we've switched to the internet and it's all about matching keywords on a page, but it's not. It's about, like I just said in there, now that we're in entity search, it's about providing the best answer in a conversational format to the intent of the question that was asked. And sometimes, most of the times, a lot of the times, that's video. Or podcasts. Or images. Or it's exactly like you said. You've got to have that multimedia approach. So, put the video and then have the transcript. So if somebody doesn't want to watch the video, they can read the transcript.
Yeah, because, Control F to find the word or the part you want to get. I find it frustrating with videos. But I mean, the answer there is look multimedia and choose the right format for the context that you're aiming at. A photographer would presumably have an image gallery rather than a video, or a video and an image gallery.
Sure.
But, and that's incredibly interesting. And then you sit down and say, we need regular content and we need to plan it out, because something like a webinar is going to take a lot of planning, getting people together. So you're not going to do that every month. See, sometimes it's going to be a blog post when it's appropriate, sometimes an image gallery, sometimes
sometimes everything together.
Oh, right, good point. So you've got your video with the transcript and a podcast.
Yeah.
I did that with John Mueller, the episode I did with him. I managed to do the transcript, get the video, get the podcast. Didn't do me much good, but...
Well, that was one of the things I said in the training class that I did yesterday was a lot of the content marketing things that you hear, they're like, make a content calendar and stick to it. Yeah. But there's no strategy behind it a lot of times. And I don't think that the person doing the talk or the trainer that's telling people that do it without strategy. But I think what ends up happening in the real world is people go back and they just churn out content for content's sake. They're like, let's do a content calendar. We're going to do a blog post every Thursday.
Yeah.
And you just churn it out, and there's not a whole lot of strategy there. But, I said kind of what you just said just now. You've got to think ahead. You've got to have that content calendar, because you can't just sit down and write a blog post. You have to come up with what's the idea? How does it match the strategy
Yeah.
of what you're doing? How does it match the intent of the question that you're trying to answer? And how do you answer that question? Do you do it with a podcast? Do you do it with a video?
Yeah.
Do you do it with images?
Brilliant.
If you're going to write a blog post, you got to go research the blog post because you can't just sit down and write the blog post. So you got to do the research. Then you write the post. Then you have to find images for the post. Then you have to put it through editorial. And all of that takes time. And if you're just like, oh, I'm going to churn something out every Thursday, it turns into, I'm just going to sit down and write some BS.
Yep. No. Oh, we can keep talking. Apparently.
All
Sorry,
right.
I was going. Oh, I didn't mean. Should we? No,
I'm
no, no.
like, geez, guys, that's pretty rude.
Well, that was supposed to be the secret signal, but it didn't really work out very
Yeah.
well. I have a question then.
Sure.
Could you not, and looking at structured data, which is one of the things I'm pretty keen on, have a series, create it into a series with different episodes? So you're saying, I've got this content strategy, I've got videos, I've got podcasts, I've got galleries, and I've got blogs, and say, structure markup, series with an episode,
Yeah.
and then break it down for Google like that, and say, this is a body of work.
It's a massive piece of content spread across multiple issues.
And over time.
Yeah.
Oh, which brings us back to the knowledge graph, which I forgot to ask you about, what Google Maps brings really to the fore, and I think we forget about it with the knowledge graph, is that concept of time.
Yeah.
That things change over time. I mean, we've got this idea, we've got the entity, we've got the relationship, and we're going, okay, I'm done. You're not, because it's changing over time, and Google Maps is a brilliant example of that, with shops being closed, shops being open.
And with the public contributing to that entity information. So
Yeah.
it's no longer us with our website, putting our own content up, building our own links, and controlling our universe. Now it's, let's look at the signals that other entities, other businesses, other websites, other people writing reviews, other people writing map corrections. You know,
Yeah.
the whole local guide, system is, let's have these people out there
Yeah.
who are passionate about Google Maps or Google search in general, contribute more information and help us make this more accurate and more real world.
Yeah, and then they've got questions and answers. Do you know this business, the Google Guides thing, which is presumably going to come into the knowledge graph as well. They're going to start
Yeah.
pushing for human information, because all this AI, this machine learning rather, cannot function without validated data from
Exactly.
human beings. Brilliant stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me again.
SEO is AEO. Thank you, Greg.
I hope to come back in the future.
You're welcome.